nicotine products. And I say this as someone who struggled with nicotine addiction for 9+ years to things like cigarettes, vapes, chewing tobacco, even Nicorette gum at one point throughout my nicotine addiction journey. Now, I promise today's video is going to have very little to do with nicotine withdrawal symptoms or your health. It's something completely different that you might be overlooking. If you wind up enjoying the content in today's video, be sure to check out the video description and the pinned comment for more free and paid resources on how to quit using nicotine. One of the most challenging things for me when it came to stopping my nicotine addiction was that on the surface, I was an extremely functional addict. And I don't really like using the word addict. I think it is inappropriate. I think it's a useless word, but for today's context, we're going to go with it. I was comparable to a functional alcoholic. And I think this is the case for most people who are addicted to nicotine. And I think this is one of the barriers to quitting that makes it so challenging. It is somewhat easy to go through your day-to-day life while consuming nicotine from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. Maybe nowadays with the exception of cigarettes, but if we're talking about chewing tobacco, Zyn pouches, even just quietly hitting your vape in the bathroom real quick on a break during work or at your house, it's very, very easy to function day to day while maintaining a nicotine addiction. Easy in quotation marks. It's convenient. Let's put it that way. When it comes to most drug addictions, people eventually hit a point of rock bottom. So they're addicted to pills or cocaine and they run out of money. They're addicted to opioids and they get a bad batch of product and they have an overdose, and that's a wake-up call to quit. Sometimes not always, but in many cases. The person's an alcoholic, their family has an intervention, and they're begging them to stop because they've lost their job, their marriage is ruined, their life is in shambles. Unless we're talking to someone maybe who's developed cancer from smoking cigarettes, very rarely, especially if we're talking to people under the age of 40, is someone's life going to be in shambles as a direct result of nicotine addiction. And I think this makes it all the more challenging to quit because we don't necessarily have that rock bottom or that highly motivating moment or thing when it comes to quitting nicotine. Many of us, if you're anything like me, think to yourself, yeah, I could pretty much maintain this the rest of my life. On the same note, very rarely when it comes to vaping or chewing tobacco products, or especially the nicotine replacement therapy products, are people reaching out to you, the person who's addicted, or me, used to be, saying, hey, get help. You need to get help for this. You need to go to Nicotine Anonymous. You need to go talk to a doctor. You need to go. That's just very rarely happening because in today's society, nicotine is a widely accepted and even are people reaching out to you, the person who's addicted, or me, used to be, saying, or especially the nicotine replacement therapy products, are people reaching out to you, the person who's addicted, or me, used to be, saying, hey, get help. You need to get help for this. You need to go to Nicotine Anonymous. You need to go talk to a doctor. You need to go. That's just very rarely happening because in today's society, nicotine is a widely accepted and even promoted drug when it comes to some of its nootropic properties. So we don't get that either when it comes to nicotine addiction. Day to day, the most you're dealing with is a series of minor inconveniences when it comes to maintaining this addiction. And let me explain. This would be when I was chewing tobacco, leaving a spitter in my car, and maybe the spitter spills somewhere in my cup holder on my seats. Minor inconvenience, but not enough to make me quit. This is waking up in the morning, realizing my vape is dead, and having to stop at a gas station on my way into work, or plan going to a vape shop during lunchtime at work because I have to go re-up. Maybe this is lying at a family function about why I'm going to the bathroom so many times or constantly having to excuse myself, or lying to a significant other that you quit, you didn't actually quit, but it's no big deal, and you're just constantly looking for excuses to go outside and get a few hits in, or maybe you're jamming those little nicotine pouches in your mouth and your girlfriend or wife goes in for a kiss and you're like, oh dear, I hope she doesn't know. Whatever the situation may be, these are a series of minor inconveniences that I dealt with every single day for years of my life throughout nicotine addiction. The other major problem that I think people face is, in many cases, if you think like I thought, you might be under the guise that nicotine is actually aiding in your ability to function. So not only has it made you not non-functional like an alcoholic who's wiped out and can't even get out of bed in the morning, that hasn't happened with nicotine. But perhaps you're under the impression that it's helping you function better. It's helping you function more efficiently at work. It's helping you be a better athlete because of the adrenaline release you get from nicotine. It's helping you focus more when you're giving a presentation or driving to a work event or something like that. So not only has it not harmed your ability to function, but now you're thinking it aids in your ability to function. This is how nicotine becomes a very, very dangerous addiction. And it's something I could refer to as an example, death by 1,000 cuts, death by 1,000 hits. You're bleeding out slowly every single day that you're addicted to nicotine. You just don't realize it. And even worse, you might be under the facade that it's actually helping you. But I think if we can look at the reality of the situation regarding nicotine addiction, it certainly has a financial impact, and that's immediate to anyone who's using nicotine. Even if you have more than comfortable finances, which many people who are addicted to nicotine do, another reason why quitting is so hard, right? If you have someone who's addicted to opioids or addicted to other pills, their finances might be a mess. And that might be like a rock bottom for them, the financial crisis that they run into. You don't typically see that with nicotine addiction unless you're, maybe a bit younger, a teenager in your early 20s and just getting your career started. So that doesn't happen, but there is a financial impact. There's certainly a bit younger, a teenager in your early 20s and just getting your career started. So that doesn't happen, but there is a financial impact. There's certainly a time impact, the time that you're spending maintaining this addiction, giving these little moments throughout the day to this drug, which is then in turn taking away from moments at work, moments away from a significant other, moments away from things that you actually want to be doing in life. There's certainly an energy, right? A mental energy that goes into maintaining this addiction. The thought process of, when am I going to get my next hit? When am I going to be able to vape again? Is now a good time to sneak in a pouch real quick while no one's around? This is mentally exhausting throughout the course of the day. Now, not to mention the physical impact of nicotine addiction. When you consume nicotine, the nicotine levels in your blood spike. Dopamine gets dumped into your system. And then as that nicotine exits your body within about half an hour to an hour later, you start to go into a state of withdrawal. So all day long, you're constantly battling off nicotine withdrawal symptoms. And your body's constantly flip-flopping between nicotine levels being maintained and the beginning stages of the nicotine detox process, on top of spiking your adrenaline and blood sugar and then dropping it, spiking it and then dropping it. So that's an exhausting part of nicotine addiction. And then the obvious negatives. If you're vaping a lot, chances are you do feel it in your breathing. If you're using Zyn pouches and you're swallowing your spit all the time, there's a good chance you got some stomach problems or some acid reflux or some annoying skin issues that you're dealing with. All things that I suffered from using these products. So there are side effects, there are consequences, but they tend to be smaller. And the fact that you can largely function day to day minorly inconvenienced all day long, which I think actually adds up to be a big inconvenience, is one of the things that I think makes nicotine addiction so challenging. So when it comes to quitting, you're much better taking the approach of not, oh, I have to quit because of X, Y, and Z, to taking the approach of, I'm quitting because this is no longer benefiting me. I'm quitting because this substance, this thing, is no longer adding any value to my life. And there's a book out there. It's Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit Smoking, Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit Vaping. And this is an excellent book when it comes to breaking down the perceived benefits of nicotine addiction, because now you don't have to quit from a place of motivation or a place where your life feels like you're at rock bottom, but you're quitting from a place of choice, which is choosing to put the drug down because it's no longer benefiting you. And what's the best way to do that? Cold turkey. You wake up one day and you just choose to stop. Now, if you are ready to quit, follow me into the next video where I talk a little bit about nicotine withdrawal symptoms and what you can expect in the first 3 days. Or if you don't feel like doing that, consider booking a one-on-one call with our offices or simply downloading the free PDF workbook on how to quit using nicotine products. I'll see you guys in one of those 3 spots. Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Dr. Frank, founder of Addiction